Story 1. I was working the night shift at a convenience store on Christmas Eve. It was a quiet night, and I was mostly just keeping to myself and listening to Christmas carols on the radio. Around 2 a.m., I heard a noise from the back room. I got up to investigate, and I heard a rustling sound coming from behind the boxes of Christmas decorations. I slowly approached the sound, and then I saw it, a large, furry creature with glowing red eyes. It was crouched behind the boxes, staring at me. I froze in terror. The creature slowly stood up, and I could see that it was about as tall as me. It had sharp claws and fangs, and its fur was matted and dirty. The creature let out a low growl, and I turned and ran for the door. I slammed the door shut and locked it behind me, and then I ran to my car and drove away. I never saw the creature again, but I'll never forget the horror of that night. Story 2. I was working the night shift at a hospital on Christmas Eve. It was a quiet night, and I was mostly just doing paperwork and checking on patients. Around 3 a.m., I got a call from a nurse who said that a patient was complaining about hearing strange noises in his room. I went to the patient's room, and I could hear a faint moaning sound coming from inside. I opened the door and looked inside, and I saw a shadowy figure standing in the corner of the room. The figure was tall and thin, and it was wearing a long, black coat. Its face was obscured by the shadows, but I could see that it had glowing red eyes. I called out to the figure, but it didn't respond. It just stood there, staring at me. I slowly backed out of the room, and I closed the door behind me. I ran to the nurse's station and told her about what I had seen. The nurse didn't believe me, but she went to check on the patient anyway. She came back a few minutes later and told me that the patient was gone. I never saw the shadowy figure again, but I'll never forget the terror I felt that night. Story 3. I was working the night shift at a library on Christmas Eve. It was a quiet night, and I was mostly just reading a book. Around 4 a.m., I heard a loud crash from the second floor. I got up to investigate, and I saw that a bookcase had fallen over. I went to pick up the books, and I saw a strange symbol etched into the floor beneath the bookcase. The symbol was a circle with a cross in the middle, and it was surrounded by flames. I felt a chill run down my spine, and I turned to leave. But as I turned around, I saw a figure standing in the doorway. The figure was tall and gaunt, and it was wearing a black robe. Its face was pale and gaunt, and its eyes were sunken in. The figure raised its hand, and I saw that it was holding a long, sharp knife. I screamed and ran for the door, but the figure was too fast. It caught me and dragged me back to the bookcase. The figure held the knife to my throat, and I closed my eyes and waited for the end. But the blow never came. Instead, I heard a loud noise from outside. I opened my eyes and saw that a police car had pulled up to the library. The figure ran away, and the police officers came inside and took me to safety. I never saw the figure again, but I'll never forget the terror I felt that night.